Hello, my Astro family. This is Lada from AstroLada.com, and today I'd like to present you an up-and-coming new astrologer. Her name is Karine, and as you know, we're dedicated on this website to finding some of the best new astrologers around the world and introducing them to you. We've been working with Karine for almost 1 year together with Victor. She's his student, and out of astrologers and students that we work with, we choose only about 3 per year to introduce to you, and Karine was one of those astrologers who impressed us so much. Hello, Karine. Thank
Hi.
you. Can you tell us, where are you from?
I'm originally from Taiwan, but I've been traveling in the past 7 years, and I'm a yoga teacher, and also I provide healing services. And in the past 2 years, I live in the Philippines in the healing retreats. And because this COVID-19, so recently I'm back to Taiwan.
Wow, beautiful. You're in Wonderland. Like the paradise of the earth. Well, today you decided to present for us something about Venus and Jupiter. Can you tell us exactly what it is?
Yes, I would like to talk about Venus and Jupiter conjunction in the birth charts, because these two are benefic planets, and when they're together, I like to dive into like what they can bring to the table, and also what kind of potentials and possible career path that you can expect when you have these two conjunction in your birth charts. So yes, that would be the
This is rare to have this conjunction. I know just 2 people personally who have it. So it's, yeah, it would be interesting to hear.
Yes, and also because I do parental consultation on Lada's websites, and the reason I want to do this conjunction is also to, I like to encourage parents to have their child's charts read, and because this will uncover the potential and talents of the child, and also by acknowledging child's talents and potential career, I think parents, they can also become the great help for the child on the journey of becoming who they are. So that would be my intention for this sharing.
Thank you so much, Karine. And because it's so rare, I don't think many people would want it and they want to skip on. Is it possible that if someone just, when you go through the houses of Jupiter and Venus in a house, that people who just have Jupiter or just have Venus, they can also listen to it for some insight?
Yes, I think so. Yes, I do have some insights for that. Yeah.
So everyone basically can watch this video, just even if you don't have Jupiter Venus conjunction, just check wherever your Venus is, what house it is, and what house Jupiter is, and listen to this one. But maybe it will not be as powerful as with the conjunction, I guess.
Right, right. And also for this sharing, there will be 3 parts. So the first part will be the individual qualities of Jupiter and Venus, and the second part will be the conjunction of these two, and the third one will be Venus and Jupiter conjunction through 12 houses.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And if you'd like a reading with Karine, to welcome her to the AstroLada team, we have a promotion for her for the next 2 weeks. You can check out the readings that she's offering on the website. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your presentation, Karine.
Thank you. It will be a long one. So first, I would like to talk about Venus. So Venus signifies love, beauty, grace, and is a planet of things that make that life easier, and it rules pleasure, comfort, harmony, and balance. And it's also our feminine nature, and it's also our ability to form relationships, our ability to love, and not just to love others, and also to love ourselves as well. And it represents partners in both men and women's charts, but it signifies the wife in men's charts. And it's also a significator of luxury, cash, liquid money, resources, arts, theater, acting, fashion, music, creativity, and all the external beauty that we can see in this world that is ruled by Venus. And Venus is associated with the Greek goddess Aphrodite. And according to Hesiod, He was the early Greek poet, and Venus is actually accompanied by Graces, the goddesses of nature. So the Graces, there were three in number. So their names were Euphrosyne, she is representing joy. Thalia, flooring, she's representing flooring. And Aglaia is representing radiance. So in the poem, these three goddesses, they actually change Aphrodite's clothes, and they bath Aphrodite, and also they comb her hair, also massage her with special oil. So when these groups, they are together, wherever they go, they bring peace, happiness, art, music, and dance to people's life. So that's why Venus is associated with those qualities. And in Hinduism, like in Vedic astrology, Lakshmi is one of the symbols for Venus. So Lakshmi is the goddess of prosperity, fortune, and beauty, and she's also the wife of Vishnu's. So in the West and also in the East, like Vedic astrology and also Western astrology, they all have different symbols representing love, beauty, and fashion. And Venus also rules resources. So Venus is very resourceful. That's why Taurus, the sign of Taurus, has the ability to see and pay attention to resources that are available for us. And it also is the ability to take care of what's worth of taking care of. But if you have a debilitated, like not so strong, or receive negative influences, Venus might be able to recognize what's available, might not be able to recognize what's available, and fail to keep what's worth keeping. And Venus also rules Libra. So Libra is a sign of exchange, deal. I give you this and you give me that. So it's an equal give and take. Nothing is free. And it's about just and equality. And Venus also wants to create win-win situations. So if you have a strong Venus, it's more likely you'll be able to compromise in different situations. And Venus also allows us to exchange resources in order to survive. So that's also the trait of Libra. So if you have a good Venus, then you can exchange the resources for the long run, not just for the present moment. And creativity-wise, Venus rules balance and harmony. And because we know not every form of art, beauty, or music, or creativity can bring you a sense of balance or harmony. And sometimes they can be very shocking, impactful, and edgy. But the creativity, beauty, and music, whatever the Venus represents, usually provides a sense of balance. So wherever Venus sits in your horoscope, in your charts, we become curious about that house, because Venus wants to relate and wants to make a connection with that house. So that would be the qualities of Venus. Now Jupiter rules knowledge, divine spiritual knowledge, higher philosophical and religious knowledge, inspirations, and it represents law, gurus, teachers, celebrations, ceremonies like rituals. Mm-hmm. And Jupiter rules expansion, growth, faith, optimism, and also the ability to feel joy and contentment. And it rules luck and abundance. So anything that Jupiter touches, it expands. And Jupiter also rules foods. And Jupiter is a significator.
Also, sorry, what did you say? Fruit?
Food.
Food, overall food.
Yes.
Okay.
And Jupiter is the significator of wealth. And in women's charts, Jupiter represents husband in Vedic astrology. And Jupiter gives us the capacity to see bigger picture and find purpose in life, and leading us to the inner contentment and happiness. And Jupiter also rules inspirations. So if you have a dignified Jupiter, it allows you to follow your inspirations. But if you have a debilitated Jupiter, it might affect the ability to follow the inspirations. We might easily get distracted by other things or by desires. Say it's 12 o'clock and I need to have lunch. But right now I have a lot of downloads. So should I just go for my inspirations or should I go for lunch? So if you have a good Jupiter, you'll go for the inspiration, and because you can eat later. But if you have a debilitated Jupiter, you might think, okay, now it's the time to eat. So that would be the difference.
Or another way I've seen it play out with the weak Jupiters, you have your inspiration, or what's the right thing to do, but you start doubting, and you're like,
Right.
no, I'm not good enough for that, or no, I'm not gonna take this chance, because Jupiter is to take opportunities, to see opportunities and go for them. So that another way. And the funny thing is, when you describe both Jupiter and Venus, most people think they want Venus, like the luxuries, the pleasures of the world,
Right.
but actually everyone is looking for Jupiter, which is this inner sense of meaning. It's not necessarily to be, the material pleasures of the world, but this containment and joy that you talk about.
Yes, I think it's very important because Venus fulfills your material desires, but Jupiter actually tells you how happy you are with the things you have. So the fulfillment is actually higher than your happiness with your material stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why.
Yeah.
It's the greater benefic. It's really, they knew it in the past, in thousands of years, that Jupiter is more important because it's more of, you have the soul of the connection to higher power, to this inner vibration of joy, rather than, sitting, having the wines, okay, that's good as well, the entertainments, the pretty girlfriend or whatever.
Yes.
But anyway,
Yes, so Venus has this connotation with material desires, but Jupiter is more on the inside, and also is our inspirations. And since both the planets, they represent wealth, so when you have this combination together, like Jupiter and Venus conjunction, there's a strong indication of wealth. And also for such people can possess a lot of valuable stuff in life. And also because Venus is the indicator of relationship, and Jupiter represents wealth. So there's a chance that you can attract more wealthy and noble partners in your life.
Let me give you an example. I know one guy who had this combination in Aries. He had lots of women. Not, he was very polite with them, very noble with them, but he was like a few girls per week guy. And then in his 50s, he carried on this lifestyle here. Abundance of women. Jupiter.
Right.
I had a girlfriend with this combination. These are the two people I know close. She slept with a lot of guys, but she was never happy in relationships fully. Finally, at around 40, she found someone, but she always had a few booty calls per night, per week. So,
right.
anyway, so it's not always the best thing to have.
Yeah, definitely. Because like Jupiter and Venus, they are both teachers in astrology, but they are teachers of different subjects. So that's why it can create problems in relationships, like the two examples that you had just now. Because Jupiter is the teacher of higher knowledge and higher philosophical view about life. But Venus is good about down to earth, worldly affairs, and also the specifics. So therefore, it might be difficult for such people to find true happiness within themselves or in the relationships, and because they have a lot of desires to fulfill.
External desires. That's why in ancient Vedic astrology it says Venus starves Jupiter when they're together. Venus is very happy. You get a lot of the Venus things because Jupiter makes any planet happy. So you get a lot of the Venusian things, like whether it's money, good, beautiful things, possessions, glamour, entertainment, the material type of things. But Jupiter is starved, which is your inner sense of meaning, connection to higher power, to inspirations, because Venus distracts you from those things. And too many good things, especially say if you have too many women or relationships, you get distracted from the center, which Jupiter is a spiritual planet of connecting with the higher power. If you have too many physical material pleasures, again, it drains and starves your sense of meaning.
Yeah.
Actually, the more Venusian things you have, the less happy you are in many cases,
Yeah.
which is interesting. The true happiness, which is the Jupiter happiness, connection to source, feeling meaningful, uh, feeling it's like almost you have wings. This is the kind of joy. You don't even have to have nice cars or clothes or whatever, nice hats and shoes, but when you have this Jupiter happiness, you are people, you're an inspired person. You're, just like saints say, I don't need anything. I just need my connection with the higher power. But we as humans, we make the mistakes of going after Venus things only.
Yeah,
Most,
definitely.
yeah. So sorry,
No,
I
no, no,
think
no worries. No worries. It's good.
carry on.
Right. But ultimately, this conjunction still shows the expansion of love and beauty at a higher and more philosophical level. And now we come to the Venus and Jupiter conjunction together. So you already mentioned some of the traits that actually I was going to mention. But before that, like these two planets, Venus and Jupiter, when they conjunct together, they actually create like in Vedic astrology is like a partial Saraswati yoga. And proper Saraswati yoga is formed when three natural benefic planets together, like Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, when they are joining together in one house, that creates like a massive creative combination. And Saraswati yoga in Hinduism, she's the goddess of knowledge, music, art, learning, and wisdom. So if you see the picture of Saraswati, she usually sits on white lotus, and white lotus represents the ultimate purity, knowledge. So that's why she represents the knowledge and wisdom. And also she has 4 arms, and 4 arms represents 4 Vedas. That means Vedas is the ancient text in India. So when Jupiter and Venus are together, even though it's not Saraswati yoga, but it still creates like massive creative combination, and it signifies creativity, talents, expansion of horizons, and also this combination gives such people passion and love to do things. So when they do things, they do it with love, and then they do it big because Jupiter expands everything. And since Venus represents our passion, when Jupiter and Venus together, it shows our passion for knowledge, wisdom, and also our passion for understanding meaning of life or other cultures, travels, other ethnic groups, and understanding big questions, philosophical viewpoints. And since Jupiter expands everything, so Jupiter enhances Venus's ability to love. So such people can be very generous with their love, and they are giving, compassionate. But on the other hand, because like Lada just mentioned, because Jupiter's quality is stuffed by Venus, so such people, they can also, but Jupiter also supports Venus's quality.
Yeah.
So that makes
the helpfulness, yeah.
Yeah, and then that make people, maybe they love wealth and luxury and fun, pleasure and comforts in life. So they want the best and finest things in life. So that would be the downside of that. And yes, in this conjunction, Jupiter is gonna always support Venusian stuff and also Venus's quality, because Jupiter is not the enemy of any planets, and he supports any planets that he's with. And also, so when they're together, Jupiter supports Venus's skillfulness and also the appreciation of beauty, the ability to make good decisions and judgments. And it also supports Venus' interest in arts, fashion, beauty, culture, humanitarian causes, and it enhances Venus' diplomatic manner. So it makes such people can be well liked and appropriate. And also Jupiter supports the luxury that comes with wealth, because you need to have wealth in order to have luxury goods. Otherwise, you just have a lot of desires for the luxury goods, but without the money to match your desires. Yeah. So overall, Jupiter helps Venus in this conjunction. But unfortunately, like Lada mentioned earlier, because Venus is actually an enemy of Jupiter. So Jupiter tends to be starved by Venus. And such people, when you have this conjunction, so such people might be caught up with their desires. And the person's wisdom and the ability to obtain happiness are somehow affected by wishing for more luxury goods, pleasure, and good things and comforts in life. And they may have a lot of expectations, and also they are used to indulgence. So they might think, one day if I have this car, or if I have this bag, or if I buy this house, I will be happy. But there's always a sense of lack. So that's matching what you said just now. And I remember there's a Buddhist film, Buddhist teaching, and there's a quote in the Buddhist film. It says, so which one is more important, satisfying 1,000 desires or conquering just one? So this type of wisdom might be something that when people have Jupiter and Venus conjunction together, it might take a long time for them to realize that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. And Venus also rules the comforts and also the five senses. So even though Jupiter is stuffed, but Venusian things will still be supported. So such people, they can be very used to comfort and leisure, and it makes them sometimes less motivated or easily give up when there are obstacles. So yes, it sounds like a quite negative, but it's still a beautiful combination, and it can manifest many good things in life.
Oh.
And right, and wherever house the Jupiter and Venus conjunction occurs, there will be always like luxury supports and natural talents and knowledge and enjoyment. But there might be some sense of lack. So it gives mixed results, and really relies on one's wisdom and the awareness. How do you bring the awareness when you have these things happening in your life, and then how these two planets manifest in their life?
So would you say the conjunction in different houses would give a lot of the external nice things that this house represents, but not so much the emotional satisfaction from them, or the spiritual connection, or maybe not so much the connection with the sense of those things, I don't know, or with the spiritual meaning of this house. So it's like they easily can gain from whatever this area in their lifetime in their horoscope manifests the external things, but it takes them a bit more time till they receive emotional satisfaction or spiritual satisfaction there in that area.
I think it really depends on the whole chart, because these two combinations, what I share today, is only half true, because we still have to see the whole charts and then see from the whole perspective to determine whether if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And if these two planets, if they receive a lot of good aspects, or if they have a lot of negative influences from the enemies. So yes, I think that would be. So when you have Venus and Jupiter conjunction in the first house, now we're going through houses. So first house is representing you, your life path, appearance, look, body, and also your ego. And Venus is actually a very pleasant planet, and it rules beauty, harmony. And Jupiter is all about optimistic, jolly, and wise. So when Venus and Jupiter conjuncting in your first house, and such people can make really good impressions on people. Like they can look very well-liked, generous, pleasant to be around, and easygoing, charming, and their aura is quite abundant. And you can easily feel their presence in the space because Jupiter is big.
So
And
people like them everywhere they go. They kind of get under your skin. They're popular, not in a nasty, mean girls way. Popular, really like because they're likable on first impression.
right,
Yeah.
yes, and very pleasant. And Venus attracts pleasure, comforts in life. And Jupiter is also the significator of wealth and knowledge. And Jupiter is also the protector. So such people, they can be very lucky and blessed in life. Things are manifested easily in their lives. So external things.
Mhm.
And such people can be gifted in music, art, beauty, food, or creative activities. And whatever they do, there might be some foreign feel to it because Jupiter rules foreign culture. So, for instance, you can be born in the UK, but you have great interest and talents in making Japanese traditional outfits like kimonos. Or if you're born in Spain, but you have talents and in traditional Indian music, stuff
Oh,
like that.
yeah. So something foreign and something artistic. You combine both. Venus.
Yes. And when Venus is holding a higher dignity in this combination, so Venus has bigger say. So Venus actually starts Jupiter's philosophical side and other qualities. So first house is our appearance and also the image. So one's image and appearance can be very beautiful in a harmonious way, sensual, charming. And such people can be lucky because of their look. So they can be models or icons of some sort. And Venus rules beauty. So such people, they can be quite self-aware of their image. So they might spend a lot of energy and time taking care of their appearance, body, and image, keeping their body beautiful and fit. So they might be the type of people who go to gym quite a lot.
So they overdo the Venus things when Venus is in the high dignity. You would say if the conjunction is in Libra, in Taurus, or in what else Venus would be stronger in Earth signs overall, the air signs. Yeah.
Right. And also if Venus receives a lot of good aspects. So
Okay.
Venus were holding the higher dignity and Venus has the biggest say. Yeah.
Okay.
And but Venus also makes such people very attractive. So such people, they can be like magnets to attract people to them. And Venus is ultimately is the planet of relationships. So Venus wants to relate, to create the connection. And Jupiter expands the qualities that they want to. Jupiter expands this quality, so it makes Venus to want more. So such people they might want more connections with others or more relationship with others. And also because Venus sits in the first house and looking at the seventh house, so it's a relationship axis. So relationships or companionship might be very important for such people. And
are they probably happier relationships because of this combination usually?
I think it really depends on the whole chart and like what sign Venus is in and also what kind of aspects that Venus receives. But yes, and also if you have other than Jupiter and Venus in the first house, if you have more than it's a stellium in the first house, then maybe it's not good.
Yeah.
Looking at the relationship all the time.
Yeah. Okay. But just them on their own, it's a good thing that they look at relationship house.
Yes, because when Venus sits in the first house, it also gives strength to the seventh house. The downside might be companionship and relationship might be important for such people. So when you value something too much, I think too much of something is not good. It's not great. And because such people, they can attract a lot of notion things and experiences in life. But Jupiter's, because Venus is holding the higher dignity, and Jupiter's wisdom and ability to feel contentment are compromised. So such people, they may have a lot of desires to fulfill, and they may not be able to feel contentment, fulfillment with what they have.
It's like imagine the celebrity in the Hollywood mansion with everything they've ever wanted, but then they feel lonely and why am I feeling disconnected or depressed type of situation.
Yes, because they have thousands of desires to fulfill. Yeah. And but if Jupiter is holding higher dignity, that means Jupiter has bigger say, and Jupiter tones down Venus's desires and also the high expectation of things. And Jupiter also makes Venus more philosophical. And Jupiter rules foreign cultures. So such people's talents or tastes in art, fashion, beauty, or music, or even the cuisine, the food they like, can be more exotic. And even their look, it's beautiful, but also look very foreign.
One of the girls that I know, the two people that I know, she has Jupiter in Cancer, Venus in Cancer. And of course, Jupiter is much stronger in Cancer.
Yes.
And she is, first of all, a mixture. Everyone thinks she's Bulgarian, but people think she's foreign. But people think she's African American and Black, and she only moves with crowds of African American people. And she married an African American guy. Everything, she's totally into a different culture than she was born, and she doesn't have white friends even, so she identifies, she loves so much another culture, she totally identifies with it. So that's the Jupiter more powerful in these conjunctions. And she looks even like African American, even though she's not.
Right.
That's one extreme example, but you're so correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so she fits into this picture.
Yeah.
And Jupiter also rules Jupiter is philosophical and religious. So in the creative activities, such people might be interested in or talented in making religious, let's say religious or spiritual music, art, or fashion. And they can also be talented in traditional, let's say, Indian dancing, or they can be talented in making spiritual clothing or accessories, jewelries and stuff like that. And Jupiter rules our wisdom and ability to feel joy and fulfillment on the inside. And it will give people, people with this conjunction, the ability to feel the happiness with the things they have and also the experiences they have in life. Mm-hmm. So that would be the first house. Then coming to the second house. And second house is our material goods, accumulated wealth, assets, finances. And second house also rules our voice, speech, the speech that we give, and also rules the jawline and bottom part of the face. And in Vedic astrology, second house also rules the family lineage, and second house also rules the food intake. So when you have Venus and Jupiter in the second house, it gives natural talents in managing assets and also your material goods. And second house also, because it rules the voice and also the capacity to express, it's our speech. So such people, they can have really good voice and they can have the potential to become singers, or their voice, because their voice can somehow gravitate and also grab people's attention. Oh. Yeah, like Billie Holiday, she has Jupiter and Venus in the second house. So she was an amazing jazz singer. And plus Jupiter rules teachers and gurus. So such people, they can have the talents in giving speech. And when they speak, they talk things in depth. And they also they are not just talking for the sake of talking. They also bring meaning and inspirations, ideas to people, to the society. And second house also rules values. So such people, they can be gifted in recognizing what's valuable for us, and they can also recognize the worth of jewelries, paintings, or antique art pieces. So those can become their investments. So they can have the eye for those things. They can also have a lot of knowledge about investments and the financials. And second house also rules the family lineage. So such people, when you have Jupiter and Venus together in the second house, Such people can come from a bigger family, or the family that are more affluent, or the family they have more resources to support them. And when Venus is holding higher dignity, that means Venus has the biggest say, and Jupiter enhances the ability, Venus's ability to appreciate beauty and spot values in goods. So such people can have great tastes in jewelries, fine arts, antiques, paintings. And so it's also very good for them to invest, collect them, so they can make profits of that. And Jupiter is the friend of Venus. So in this conjunction, Jupiter is going to support Venus's ability to take care of valuable goods too. But wanting more, desire more becomes the key word in this conjunction, and also in the second house. So it might make such people want more pretty things, more possessions, more good food, more good wine, and more comfort.
And they'll usually have it.
Well. Usually they have it. Yes, they're very lucky. But for Jupiter, because Jupiter doesn't do too well in the second house, because firstly, this is Venus's house, because Venus rules Taurus and Libra. And so second house has the correlation of Taurus. So Taurus and second house is all about material possessions. So if Jupiter is holding higher dignity, which means Jupiter has to be in the sign of Sagittarius or Pisces in the second house, so Jupiter can have higher dignity than Venus.
Rotation or Cancer. Yeah.
Yes. And so Jupiter becomes the lord of the second house. So Jupiter has to give good results for such people. And so what happens is it makes such people can manage their assets and material possessions very well. And it also make one have natural talents and knowledge about finances and resources. And when they give speech, the things that they share can be related to knowledge about investments from a futuristic viewpoint, like how to plan to have a better future, how to plan for your later life. So it's not so much about money, but it's also there's some futuristic feel to it. And the words that they share will be their honest truth. And maybe also it can become a guidance and advice for other people. And coming to the third house. So third house rules our practical mind, our speaking, communication, information, short journeys, siblings, and our hands. And third house basically rules everything that's related to this material reality. So when you have Venus and Jupiter in the third house, such people can be gifted in communication, speaking, writing, blogging. And third house also rules business and management. So such people can
ask you something.
Yes.
You said second house is voice and speaking, and you say third house is speaking as well. What is the difference in the astrology, if you can explain to people, between second house speaking and third house speaking?
I think right.
Yeah.
I think third house is more like a communication, but it's not necessarily to give speech. But second house is more like when you give speech, like narrators. Those are, I think, for me, it's more like a second house. You also have to have a good second house in order to have a good speech, and also your voice.
Yeah.
Can you gravitate other people's attention? That will be the second house. But third house is more like a day-to-day communication, and yes, it's more on the practical level. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And also third house rules business and management. So when you have Venus and Jupiter in the third house, and such people can gain wealth and success through commercial activities. And they may have multiple business resources. And they can also gain success through marketing, advertising, blogging, writing. If they are journalists, they can also benefit from being a journalist, and because third house rules the short travels, so they can also gain success through a lot of short travels or things done by hands, because third house rules the hands. And Jupiter, when Jupiter and Venus in the third house together, Jupiter gives more of something. So such people may have multiple talents, and they also have more creative ideas. And third house is the communication style. So the way they communicate is friendly, charming, appropriate, encouraging, and insightful, full of positive vibes and knowledge. And third house is also what we think every day. So their state of mind can be quite positive, optimistic, and they can be well liked, because if you have the positive vibe, the people like you, and especially because third house is ruled. Third house rules teammates, classmates, and neighbors. So you can be well liked by your teammates, classmates, and neighbors. And third house rules skills. So such people can be talented in whatever they are doing, depends on the sign. Let's say if it's Libra, maybe they can be skilled in designing, putting on makeup, or taking beautiful pictures. And if it's Gemini, they can be skilled in editing videos, or their handwriting can be beautiful, appropriate, and they can also be gifted in calligraphy or painting.
Or knitting, anything you do with the hands. They can be very good crafts people. It's like making amazing jewelry, or,
Yes, things done by hands. So in this combination, when Venus is holding higher dignity, that means Venus has the biggest say. So for such people, they might have a lot of social activities, gatherings, and it's fun to go to social gatherings. But because Jupiter gives more of everything, so maybe a little bit too much of gatherings, and then it can be overwhelming. And also because Venus has the bigger say, so it diffuses Jupiter's wisdom. So such people may not be able to judge which activities are actually needed and they need to go. So they may end up just going every activities, and then they become really exhausted. And the way they communicate, because Venus is holding higher dignity, it affects them. The way they communicate might be slightly flirtatious, but it's not entirely a bad thing if you're a salesman, because you need to use your words to charm your way out and also to get the things you want. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, for promoters, salespeople, marketers, they'll just charm the pants out of you.
Yeah, so it's not a bad thing, but it's just I think for such people, they need to pay attention to, because they usually use their words to charm their way out. So when they have a communication with someone, there might be some hidden agendas. For instance, they just want to get something out of you, they want something from you. So that would be something for such people maybe to pay attention to, why they say certain things and where this is coming from. And third house is also rules our mind and how we think, what we think every day. So such people might need a lot of mental stimulation and interesting things to keep the spirits upbeat. Otherwise, they get bored so easily. And they can have a lot of interest in learning different skills. So having a lot of interest in learning different skills, that's fine. But if you cannot carry on and persevere, then it's just a spark, and then it doesn't carry on. It doesn't develop, become a talent. So
you become jack of all trades, master of none. There is an expression, a bit of everything, but
right.
Yeah.
And Venus also shows where you can make money from, and also the money you can spend on. So for such people, because they have a lot of interest in learning different things, so they might spend a lot of money on workshops or maybe they just spend money on different short trips that bring them happiness. But if they are in marketing and advertising field, because Venus, if Venus is holding a higher dignity, so it might make such people just caught up with reaching the short-term goals without seeing the bigger picture, because Jupiter is the ability to see the bigger picture and also to see things from a higher perspective. So that would be the tricky part. And if Jupiter is holding higher dignity, and what we think and communicate becomes more philosophical. So such people, they can talk more about spirituality, humanitarian stuff, charity, travels, cultures. And if you're a writer, such people can write stories more about adventures or cultural stuff. And if they are journalists, they can be drawn to stories that they can send some positive and insightful messages to the society. And for them, by doing third house affairs, things will give such people a lot of joy and fulfillment, and also wealth, because Jupiter is where you can generate your wealth. And Jupiter also gives more of something. So it might give such people more short trips and more business short trips, and many creative ideas, lots of communication, and very busy communicating on the devices, on the computer or on the phone, writing emails or writing on your messenger. So a lot of communication and very busy. So that would be I wouldn't say downside, but it's just, it depends on the individual. If you like to be busy, then that's fine. And coming to the fourth house. So fourth house represents home, your private world, and how you are at home. And fourth house rules vehicles, land, property, hotels, gardening. And in Vedic astrology, it rules the mother. But from the Victor's apprenticeship, actually fourth house rules the father, so one of the parents. And fourth house is our emotional home, emotional foundation. It's the ability to feel safe and happy and peace of mind. And it's also our roots, our country, the country that we're originally from. And this is also our parenting style. And fourth house also represents the conditions at the end of the life. So when you have Venus and Jupiter conjunction in the fourth house, such people can have happiness through building a home, a family, cooking, or gardening. And such people can have like more beautiful and a bigger home. And they can have also more beautiful vehicles. And they have natural talents and knowledge in decorating, making their home beautiful with taste, because Venus rules taste. And they love decorating, maybe a little bit too much. And they can, like, possible jobs can be like interior designers or landscape designers for gardening, for gardens. And they can also have luck in their homeland. And they can also have luck in buying vehicles and properties. And other potential jobs like home staging, or they can also renovate cars, vehicles, and they can resell them and make profits out of it. And they can also work from home, or if they have family businesses, it's also very suitable for them, or any homely business. Or they can also be gifted in teaching others how to make their home beautiful. So yes, it sounds really beautiful if there's other malefic planets next to this conjunction, or if the planets receive bad aspects, it might change the outcome. And fourth house also rules the early education. So they can have natural talents in teaching kids in preschool or nursery school. And they can also have talents in hospitality. And both planets are very planets. So the atmosphere in the home, or if they have hotel business, can be very welcoming and serene, just very pleasant. And fourth house also connected to Mother Earth. So such people can be talented in plants, like shamans or some healers. They work with plants. They use plants to heal people, and they can also be gifted in permaculture because you can grow your own food and fruits. Because being a farmer, I think it's quite difficult. You need to have the knowledge to understand the soil and also work with different seeds according to different climates, different weather, and different seasons. So I think that's the big thing. And fourth house also rules our emotional foundation. So how safe you feel in the world and how stable you feel in this body. I think that's very important. And when you have Jupiter and Venus conjunction in the fourth house, it gives such people a great foundation to feel happy and joy and stable in this body and the temple. So they are able, when you feel safe, you're able to give and also to receive. Sometimes giving is not a problem. I think receiving is more of the problem, because when people, they don't feel safe, and when they don't have enough self-worth, they don't feel like they're worth of receiving abundance, money, or compliments from other people. And also, if you have Venus and Jupiter in the fourth house, it gives the such people the ability to nurture others and also to receive nurturing. And if Venus is holding higher dignity, and Venus has the bigger say, and Venus is in the fourth house, is actually very strong. It gets full directional strength in Vedic astrology. So such people can get a lot of happiness and nourishment from family, and they love decorating their home, and perhaps a little bit too much. And they can also love too much about luxurious vehicles and small decorating items. And but such people can have passion and love to learn about their family roots and also the history. And let's say if Venus rules your 11th house and Venus sits in your fourth house conjuncting Jupiter. So 11th house is your friends, network, benefactors. So you may have more female friends because Venus rules females. So you may have more female friends, or you have a lot of male friends, but they are more feminine. And these friends, they can expand your creative horizons. Or simply, you just like to invite them to your home. And if Jupiter is holding higher dignity and Jupiter expands, so such people can have bigger home, or they can build their home in a more spacious space, because Jupiter needs freedom. He needs to be able to move around. And for such people, they can also have big extended family, like more in-laws. And place of living is always pleasant, uplifting, and maybe multicultural. And because Jupiter rules our faith and religion, and fourth house is to do with the later part of life. So when such people grow old, religion might become important in their later life. And let's say if Jupiter rules your 11th house and sits in the fourth house conjuncting Venus, and 11th house is so the friends, network, benefactor, gains, and luck. And fourth house signifies the later part of life. So as you grow older, your friend circle can grow bigger as well. And you can also have friends who have a lot of financial or spiritual knowledge that can give you guidance and advice on this path. And you can also, you're the type of people that you can host lamas or gurus in your home. You can get direct wisdom from them. Like in Tibetan tradition, you host lamas in your home and then you directly learn from them. And let's say if Jupiter rules the 12th house, and it sits in the fourth house and conjuncting Venus. So it creates moksha yoga and liberation. So 12th house is so much to do with spirituality, secluded place, and 4th house is your private world. So such people can be really private. They don't just go out and then express their feelings and emotions to others. And they enjoy being secluded, isolated. And such people are natural teachers and gurus, counselors, because Jupiter is guru and teachers. And 4th house is actually 5 houses away from the 12th. And 5th house is associated with talents. So such people, that's why they have this talents to be a teacher, gurus.
You're
And
very knowledgeable in Vedic and derivative houses and the yogas. Do you use tropical zodiac or sidereal? Just so viewers know.
tropical.
Tropical, okay.
I just like to read about Vedic astrology, because I noticed that you are also, and I find, because I'm a yoga teacher, so I find a lot of things that actually is really rings true to me, and I'm in line with that. So I like to learn more about that.
Well, no, you're such an encyclopedia and knowledge, and I don't think you're even reading when you're talking. It's like you're just talking from knowing. But can I ask you then, what is your view on the difference between second house family, fourth house family? How do you see the difference?
4th house family, I think it's more like a container, like the house, the place you live, and it's your family. Yes, it's your family, but second house is more like your lineage, the traditions, the values that your family gives you. That's how I differentiate these two.
Okay, so if you have the difference, if you have Mars in the second, for example, and Mars in the fourth, well, the Mars in the fourth, it might mean you fight more at home, which is not
Yes.
how Mars in the second can mean like you come from a lineage of warriors or cooks or people that use Mars or people that work out or yoga instructors. More like this. Is that how you make the difference?
Yes, that's how I understand this, but I still have to study more, I think, because I think because right now I only study from Victor, which is the Western astrology, but the Vedic astrology is more like me self-study and learn from it. So yeah, I'm also taking your aspects courses. So by taking that, I
It
hope I
sounds like you know the Avastas, the Lajitari Avastas from Ernst Wilhelm. Have you studied with him?
not yet, but I would like to.
You know, you're like an expert on them. It's like it's amazing.
No, no,
Uh,
no,
carry on, sorry, but you
no,
have
no,
knowledge.
no worries, because you're also very knowledgeable. So a lot of things I also learn from you.
Oh, wow. But I'm because you also seem to know like a lot of the Vedic tradition and to a masterful level. But yeah, do you have Venus Jupiter conjunction? Are you speaking about it because you have it?
No,
Okay, right.
unfortunately.
Okay, carry on. Sorry for interrupting. Just getting to know you
No,
live.
no. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Thank you so much. Oh, and carry on for the, if Jupiter rules the 12th house and it sits in the 4th house, it's 5 houses away from the 12th. So it becomes your talent. So you can become a teacher, gurus, and counselor. And also such people, it can affect such people to they love reading philosophical books, discovering spirituality, and they can also become very good psychologists, psychiatrists, or they can be really good at scientific work that requires a long time experimenting and doing research. So they need a long time, and they might practice spirituality at home, and they are the type of people they can probably open an ashram or spiritual retreats in their own home because they want to enlighten and help people. And such people, they can also have bigger home in a foreign land. So that would be the 4th house, and now it's 5th house. So 5th house is creativity, intelligence, children, creative expression, creative artistic talents, entertainment, cinema, theater, speculative business, and in Vedic astrology, it rules ancient texts like Vedas or sutras. And fifth house is like the second, I think it's the second most important house, because the first house is you, and the fifth house is how you express yourself and how you creatively express yourself, the essence, the true essence of you. And fifth house is so much to do with fun, entertainment, and creativity. And so how do you constantly involved in creative aspects of life in order to make yourself happy? I think that is quite important, whether it's professionally or personally. And when you have Jupiter and Venus together, conjunction in the fifth house, such people can have talents in expressing themselves through acting, dancing, creating art, and they can have like singing talents or writing talents, and they have more open and multicultural intelligence. So their intelligence is not just stuck at the intellectual level, it's more expansive. And they can gain success through creative work, entertainment, and involving with kids. So they can also write kids' books or helping kids. And Venus is the planets of harmony and balance. So whatever they create, the artwork will be harmonious and pleasant. And Jupiter gives meaning and purpose to it. So if they write, paint, or the artwork, whatever they do, whatever they create, it won't be just for the fun. And there will be some meaningful message to it. And it brings inspirations and hopes to people. And they can also be like inspirational teachers with many students and followers. And such people can gain luck. I think such people are very lucky and blessed because they can follow their passion and to do whatever they love when they have this combination in the fifth house, because not everyone is gifted, not everyone is blessed to follow their own passion and dreams, because we all have some duties and also conditions from the society and expectations to fulfill. And fifth house is speculative business. And such people can have talents in that area as well, like filmmaking or entertainment business. I think they are considered as speculative business, because when you invest a film, you don't know about the return on investment, because you can't predict that. You don't know if it's going to be a hit or not. And fifth house also rules stage. So such people can be politicians or celebrities. They have no problems being under the limelight. And they can also be successful through those activities like dancing or performance and so on. And when Venus is holding higher dignity, that means Venus has the bigger say, and it starves the Jupiter's philosophical side. And in Western astrology, Venus loves being in the fifth house because this is the planetary joy for Venus. And it's about having fun, enjoying pleasure and comfort, and spotlight. But the problem is too much and more. And Venus likes comfort. So when it comes to obstacles, so such people might not be able to persevere. They probably just give up. And fifth house also rules romance. So such people might fall in love just for the sake of it. And they might be in love with the idea, not even with the person. And they want more of that idea. So that would be the downside of that. And let's say if Venus rules 10th house, so it's 8 houses away, and 10th house is to do with your career and also your working environments. So your working environments is about creativity, and you might be dealing with more women because Venus rules women in your working environments. And you might be dealing with fun and creative side of life, and your work allows you to express your creative self. So such people are very lucky because whatever they do, whether they are teachers, copywriters, lawyers or marketers. They have the chance to be creative and also to express their creative self. And they also have to do that, otherwise they get bored. And if Jupiter is holding a higher dignity, and Jupiter has a bigger say, and Jupiter tones down Venus' desires and gives this philosophical side to it, and one's creative work can be more connected to divine inspirations, high ideals, philosophical side of life, and such people's expression of love becomes more philosophical, more divine. And they can be very generous with their love, very giving, and how they express, when they express their creativity, they do it big. Let's say if they are making a film, they probably want a real airplane, a castle, 2 swans, a lot of oak trees. They want the most picturesque things in the film, and they want it all. So that would be the Jupiter, because Jupiter wanted more and want it all. And let's say if Jupiter rules the 10th house and sits in the 5th house. So 10th house is to do with your career and also your working environments. And so your work might be involving giving advice to people and using your knowledge to give guidance, like life coach or psychiatrist, astrologers, because astrology is also like a speculative business, because we are predicting other people's future and we don't know if it's true. So when we do that, we need Jupiter's wisdom and knowledge to come into play. And 6th house. So 6th house rules the work, service, health, lifestyle, everyday activities. And it's a house of conflicts and litigation, imbalance, debts, and disagreements, and diseases, and people who are in trouble situations, and or people who are in lower social ranking. And 6th house also rules small animals. So when you have Jupiter and Venus in the 6th house, so some astrologers, they say when you have benefics in the 6th, 8th, and the 12th house, they don't do quite well. But I still think it really depends on the whole condition of the planets, and also the whole chart, if it's dignified or if it receives a lot of good aspects or help from friends. And in the 6th house, Jupiter rules wisdom, optimism, faith, expansion, wealth, and luck. And Venus is the planet of relationship, things that will make you happy, and it's your passion in life. So such people can have tremendous love and passion for small animals. And so they can be animal caretakers, or they can be vets. And they can also have love and passion for the poorer, the sicker, orphans, or people who are in trouble situations. And because Venus is a pleasant planet, so they can make such people a very pleasant social workers. And
just to tell you, my husband has just Jupiter in the 6th house. So everything that you're saying, people can just listen to it according to Jupiter only in the 6th house of Venus. And when I met my husband, he had 7 cats and dogs that he found on the street, injured or something, and he brought them home. And he was living like a mad woman with 7 cats and dogs. I was like, no. He sees something that is suffering on the street, and he brings it back home. And there were birds that were falling off trees. He would bring them back, put them back to life, wrap them up. Like it's incredible how correct it is. Jupiter in the 6th, like big, many animals. Often, charitable towards them. But it, as you said, it can be with orphans, with anyone who is underprivileged, which is the 6th house. So carry on.
Yeah, so what happened to those cats? Are they still there?
I made him give them away to people. I can't have smelling like a zoo here, and I was pregnant, and I'm like, no, I'm literally getting sick. Even to the last animal, he gave them away. So
Right.
I have Mars and Saturn aspect to the sixth house, so I'm not in animals.
Oh,
No, I love animals. It's just like it's
yeah,
not
different way.
not with little kids. They don't mix well together.
Right.
Pregnant women with smell issues and
Okay. Right. And sixth house is also the house of conflicts and issues of any sort. So, because they have love and passion for resolving problems and conflicts for other people, so they can also help other people to solve their health issues, because sixth house also rules health. And or if people they have addictive behaviors, so when you have Jupiter and Venus together in the sixth house, they also want to help those kind of people. So they can be like doctors or vets or nurses or someone, or maybe just someone who loves to help and fix problems. And with Jupiter's wisdom and faith, such people may see meaning in trouble situations. So they can see beyond all the trouble situations and develop compassion for the poorer, the sicker, and the orphans or the small animals. And I think it's very important to have compassion, love, and faith, especially if you're doing job like dealing with troubles every day, like lawyers or doctors, social workers. You need to face the ugliness every day, and you still have to have the energy to carry on the battle. So I think, yes, it's very respectful, and also such people, they have talents in that. And also, if you're a social worker, it takes some wisdom to see the positivities and when resolving problems, because when you're dealing with delicate situations, like some poor people or very sensitive people, they may not be open to you to receive um, advice or your help. So, right. And so when you have Jupiter and Venus together conjunction in the sixth house, it's like you have the positive vibe, the shield to protect you from doing those jobs that people don't want to do. And whatever Jupiter touches, it expands the quality. So it also expands the lower qualities of sixth house. So that means you might walk into conflicts or more argumentative situations than others. And Venus is the planet of agreements, deals, collaborations, contracts. So you might encounter more issues when it comes to making deals, agreements, or trying to sign contracts. And then when Venus is holding a higher dignity, such people may prefer more friendly and harmonious working environments. And Venus rules the comforts and pleasure. So such people need to be aware, pay attention to overindulgence, lack of balance in their diet. And Venus is our passion and love for something. And sixth house is Virgo's house. And so Virgo's house is to do with details. So such people may pay attention too much on the details, or maybe they want things to be done in a certain way, and it might create frustration if things don't go according to them. And in a way, it's also they are perfecting their skills and ability, but too much of something becomes not so great, so they can be seen as a bit like perfectionists. And when Jupiter is holding higher dignity, such people can have profound knowledge in regards to well-being, health, healthcare, and diet. And but too much of something becomes not so great, so they might be obsessed with a healthy regime, like yogic living. You have to get up like 2 hours before the sunrise, and you start just doing your nasal cleansing or everything cleansing and oil pulling. Then you start your meditation, chanting, and yoga practice. Afterwards, you have a very light breakfast. So when Jupiter, because Jupiter expands this quality, so you might obsess with those like very healthy routines. So that is also something for such people to pay attention to. And Jupiter is also overdoing something. So also pay attention to overindulgence, overeating certain food. And Jupiter's quality is to expand. So such people may receive like overloaded job responsibilities when you have this combination in the sixth house. Then seventh house. So seventh house is romantic and business partnerships. And it's also marriage, the public. It rules deals, negotiations, bargaining. Seventh house is also the house of other people and how we interact with others. It represents also the business. And when you have Venus and Jupiter conjunction in the seventh house, such people can have more opportunities to partner up with people, to connect with others, to make a connection with others. So such people can have more partners, like whether it's business or romantic. And if it's business, you can have more female partners because Venus rules females. And you can also have more female clients. And usually when you have this combination, because it's in the seventh house, it represents your partners. Usually they are quite beautiful, wise, well balanced, and learned, cultural. And their partners can be teachers. Their partners can also become the source of knowledge and guidance for them. And or their partners can be they can have good taste in beauty, aesthetics, or someone who works with luxury goods or makeup or marriage, like a marriage counselor or a couple therapists. And their relationships, Jupiter and Venus conjunction people, the relationship, every external one-on-one relationship is usually equal and balanced unless there's some negative influences. And such people can gain success through business partnerships or marriage. After marriage, maybe they can be gainful, or the visibilities increases. And they can also be successful through bargaining, trading, and making deals or contracts. And they can be someone who bargains and arrange things on behalf of their partners. And but overall, if you have this placements, Venus and Jupiter conjunction together in the seventh house, it's not a favorable place when it comes to loyalty to partners. So that is something for such people to pay attention to. And seventh house is actually Venus's house. So Venus can express itself very well. So when Venus is holding higher dignity, such people love making deals and agreements with people, and it's very good. It's a very good thing when it comes to business, but it may not be a very good habit because when you chat to people or when you just have a random conversation to people, and then sometimes it becomes your habit. So you want to make a deal or you want to make the best out of it. So it might make other people feel like it's like a trading conversation and it's not so relaxing. And Venus indicates the wife in men's charts. So when Venus is holding the higher dignity, Venus, the wife, can be the deal maker on behalf of the husband, or the wife can be like making deals, can be her profession. And Venus is passion and love, and Venus also rules the ability to evaluate. So such people, when you have this combination and when Venus is holding a higher dignity, such people may overly evaluate the togetherness and companionship, and they might only feel whole and happy when they are in a relationship. So they may spend a lot of money, because Venus is where you can gain money from, and also the money that you spend on. So they can spend a lot of money and energy on relationships or on their partners. And on the other hand, they can also have high standards and expectations of their partners. They want their partners like Venetian thing, like very graceful and have good manners. So if the partner have some kind of a picking nose or farting, they might not be happy. They might not be happy about that. So the problem with this combination, like Venus and Jupiter conjunction people, they need to learn about the realistic side of a relationship. And when Jupiter is holding higher dignity, the way such people relate to other people becomes more philosophical and well balanced. And such people can attract partners not just romantically, and also business partners. They are more open-minded, cultural, and or someone who has a big heart. And partners they attract, they can be quite religious, spiritual, and very knowledgeable. And yeah, and Jupiter rules foreign land and foreign culture, so, and also international affairs. So seven houses is to do with business and trading. So such people can gain success through international business and trading. Now coming to the eighth house. So eighth house is banking, other people's money, other people's resources, inheritance, taxes, joint resources, and working with business partners, and it's your spouse money, or it's the money that you earned from providing services for others. And eighth house also rules hidden resources like mine, gold, silver, diamonds, gemstones. And eighth house also rules like nowadays, it also rules like renewable alternative energies like geothermal, biomass, microalgae, tides, all that kind of energies. Because eighth house has the coloration of Scorpio, so regeneration, regenerates the energy. And eighth house also rules psychology and occult and hidden knowledge. So when you have Jupiter and Venus combination in the eighth house, you can have luck and benefits from doing eighth house matters like commission-based jobs and providing service for others, or you can doing something to do with occult, study psychology, hidden knowledge, or dealing with like big funds, banking, mortgage, taxes, or dealing with in and out like big money. Or you can also dealing with you can also gain success through healing and or criminal psychology. And eighth house rules secrets, so maybe you can also be successful, gainful through keeping secrets for others or from others. And if Venus is holding a higher dignity, so Venus has the biggest say, and Venus rules our desires. So Venus wants to relate, to make a connection where it sits in. So such people could be desirous for more commission, or they can be desirous for more other people's money, your spouse's money, or other people's resources. And they can be desirous for more inheritance. And because eighth house also is the soulmate connection, so they can also have passion for deep soulmate connection. And eighth house is also joint resources, so such people can benefit from partnering up with business partners, merging your own resources and with other people's and make it even bigger. And eighth house is healing. So when Venus is holding the higher dignity, Venus wants more. So for such people, they might be desirous for more healing, all kinds of healing. And eighth house is associated with sex. So healing can come through sexual connection, or you can practice some tantric practice. But there's a fine line between when the healing is needed, or when it becomes like your personal indulgence or your pleasure. And also too much healing, it will make people rely on that, because at the end of the day, healing is just part of the process, but we are the one who need to do the work. Then if Jupiter is in the higher dignity, Jupiter has bigger say, and Jupiter makes things happen easier, and Jupiter gives more. So such people can have considerable inheritance, and it depends on Jupiter's condition. And such people can also have bigger commission if their work is commission based, and if their work is fundraising, they can also raise more fund, bigger fund than other people. And Jupiter rules wisdom and knowledge. Venus is our desires and passion and love. So we need passion and love and desire to learn the occult. The eighth house has so much to do with occults, the hidden knowledge, and psychology, shamanism, the mysterious. So we need to have that passion and love in order to initiate this learning process. And we also need Jupiter's help. Instead of like chewing books, Jupiter helps us to see things and comprehend things from a higher perspective and putting all the puzzles together. And it goes beyond this intellectual mind. And Jupiter is also the inspirations that we follow. So when learning something like the mysterious, the hidden knowledge, we need inspirations and also the inner guidance, the inner voice to help us to on this path without getting lost. And eighth house also rules the crisis situations and surprises. And when Jupiter holds the higher dignity, that actually gives us the wisdom to transcend from the suffering, to see the lotus that lies within the suffering. And it helps us to grow wisdom and see beyond the suffering. And ninth house rules our belief system. Ninth house rules gurus, teachers, mentors, advisors, and ninth house rules law, higher mind, higher consciousness, and religion, long distance travels, philosophy. It's our beliefs and our outlook on life, purpose, and meaning. It also rules foreign lands, foreign places, higher education. And ninth house in Vedic astrology rules how happy, how lucky you feel in this material reality. And since Venus rules love, beauty, balance, desires, and it helps develop things in regards to ninth house more smoothly. And Jupiter expands and gives more of things something in regards to the ninth house. So such people, they can have interest in big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And the philosophical questions. And they can also be interested in finding out the meaning of life. And such people can have great passion for discovering the unknown, the power beyond. And they have great passion for exploring different ideologies, experiencing the world, and also different cultures. And they can become a big travelers. And their sense of pleasure, contentment comes from attaining higher knowledge and wisdom. And ninth house also rules the law and higher education. So such people, they can have passion for that as well, like learning something. Because usually learning something is quite draining and exhausting and dry. But such people, because they have Jupiter and Venus in the ninth house, so they can have more enjoyable learning experiences. And also they can have more sociable, learned, well-educated international contacts. And these qualities can also make such people good teachers, professors, priests, philosophers, scholars, advisors, or life coaches and guides. But it doesn't have to be like a guide for your life, for your And it can also just be a travel guide in different countries. And because Jupiter and ninth house, they all have this connotation of religion. So such people can also become religious seekers. And when Venus is holding higher dignity, Venus is desirous, and it shows where we can make money from and also spend money on. So such people may spend too much money on learning, like world travels, books, or too much money on gurus, teachers, or too much money on astrologers, because in horary charts, like ninth house rules astrologers. So such people can spend a lot of money on astrologers. And they also can spend a lot of money on religion, religious products, or religious accessories or gatherings. And let's say if Venus rules fifth house and it sits in the ninth house, so it's 5 houses away from the fifth. So it means, because fifth house is to do with your creative self. So it means your creative self is being elevated to the ninth house. So you are very lucky. And also you are very likely to take your interests and hobbies into higher learning. Say if you like drawing, so you may go to school to develop that skill. And you also have the luck to do that. And if you like to design clothes, you will probably find the best teacher to learn from. And ninth house is also rules the foreign country. So you might have to go abroad to study your hobbies in a foreign land. And fifth house also rules the ancient texts. So such people may go to India or Middle East or wherever that's ancient to look for gurus to learn about ancient Vedas, scriptures. And in ancient time, I think people were less materialistic. And when you have this combination, like if your Venus rules your fifth house and sits in the ninth house, or Jupiter rules your fifth house and sits your ninth house, you actually have the chance to develop your spiritual growth. And in the ancient times, people consider this is the luckiest thing in life. And it makes you feel lucky in learning. And also because you fifth house goes to the ninth house, you have the access and opportunities to find your gurus and teachers, because oftentimes we don't know if we can find the right and the right gurus to follow. And also if we have some kind of interest in ancient stuff, but if you don't have the access to the teachers, you just end up just having this dream, I want to learn something, but maybe the teacher is not showing up, so you don't have the chance to do that. So when you have this combination, you are very lucky to have this access. Basically, you have the tickets to go to your gurus. And Jupiter, when Jupiter is holding higher dignity, Jupiter can make such people travel a lot, and they can also have easier access to higher education. And such people can also work with foreign companies or something international. And Jupiter gives more of something, so such people can have like multiple teachers or gurus, mentors, and they can also become the source of help and guidance in their lives. And such people can be very overly optimistic and confident about their belief system. And if such people don't know how to perspective taken, they might believe what they have learned is the ultimate truth. So they can become a little bit forceful when they communicate with people. It can be a little bit like preaching or talking too much about their beliefs and also what they believe. And yeah, that would be the downside of that. And coming to the 10th house. 10th house is our public image. And that's the image that we proactively project onto the world. And the image that we use, we want the world to see us. And this is also what we are known for. And it's our reputation, our public life, because fourth house is the private life, and then 10th house is the public life. And 10th house also represents career and authority figures. And it also represents one of the parents. In Vedic astrology, it represents the father. But from Victor's what Victor taught us, 10th house represents the mother, so one of the parents. And when you have Venus and Jupiter conjunction in the 10th house, signifies love and passion for gaining reputation and public image. Having said that, such people are usually have easy access to higher positions as well. They have natural talents in managerial role, gaining authority, and they have what it takes to get to the high positions as well. So let's say if they're working in a fashion magazine like Vogue or Elle, they can become like chief editors. Or if they're working in the fashion industry, they can become a leading role in that industry, or they can manage an art gallery, or they can become.
I can give you an example. The friend that I know, she has Venus conjunct Jupiter in the 10th house, and she's an artist, a photographer, and she created her own studio and became one of the most successful ones, and all the celebrities go to her. So the best of the best, she
Wow.
knew a lot of celebrities, and she started making photoshops for them, and she created her own photo. So it's the top of the top, and she got it before she was 30 even. So I think
Wow.
it's not like she didn't make an effort, but she knew the right people. There were so many people around her that opened their own photo studios, but she just knew the celebrities and they went to her. So she became successful. So that's how,
Yeah.
yeah.
Things manifest for them more easily. Yeah. And yeah, they can also become leaders in entertainment business, like a casting or model agency, or they can become the chief celebrity manager. And they can also be like art directors in a theater, stage directors, or arts director in a hotel landscaping, or they can become a creative director in advertising. So there are so many jobs and also the possibilities. But when it comes to Venus, because it has to do with fashion, beauty, and arts, creativity. And such people's career can be more connected to international affairs because Jupiter rules the foreign land, and their projects and business usually it's on the international global level. So for them, it's not suggest them to think small. They need to think like a bigger scale on the global scale. And Jupiter also connects to charity. So their career can also be connected to charity, and or they can also work in the university setting. And usually their public image is well liked, kind, sociable, charismatic, generous, charitable, knowledgeable, beautiful, and graceful, diplomatic, appropriate. And they can be seen as someone who is wise and philosophical as well. And because 10th house rules the workplace, so such people, they can, even though they are not teachers, but they can be like teachers or counselors in the workspace. And such people can talk in depth, and they like to bring their philosophy and beliefs to their work. So yes, be careful with that because people might see you like a preacher, and such people's worldly actions are usually coming from their heart because Venus rules compassion and love. So their worldly actions are very much to do with they want to do something meaningful and they want to contribute to the world. And they're also blessed to do good deeds. And Venus and Jupiter, they're both teachers. And so they can, such people, they can gain success through teaching or counseling. Because 10th house rules our career path, so they can become a teacher or counselor. And especially if there's no malefic planets or other negative influences, there's an ease getting to higher position and getting good reputation, and they can succeed in their careers more easily. Now, if Venus is holding higher dignity and Venus is more desirous, and that also means Jupiter's wisdom and philosophical side is affected, compromised by Venus desirous. And so public image, strong reputation, or material achievement, they can become quite important for such people. And they also like to be seen as respected and successful, that kind of image. Or if they work in the arts or more creative industry, they want to be seen like beautiful, professional, and someone who has taste. And there's always a certain look, the image they need to maintain. So they might spend a lot of money on clothes, suits, watches, or cars, or items like perfumes, because sometimes perfumes can be really expensive and make you smell expensive. So they can spend a lot of money on those items that make them look high social status, social ranking.
Status, yeah, status.
Yes. But yes, just like your friends, it's not like they don't work. It's just things manifest easily for them, and material achievement is important for them as well. And if Jupiter is holding higher dignity, how they gain the public image becomes more philosophical, and it's less material. So they don't want to do things just for the fame. Fame becomes like the byproducts of the worldly actions they do, because they always want to do good deeds for the world, and also they always want to contribute. They always want to bring meaning and purpose to the public. So that whatever image they gain is because of what they do. And they can easily gain reputation from higher education, because Jupiter rules the higher education, and 10th house is your image. So they can have the image. If they invest in their higher education, they can have that kind of reputation. And also having good knowledge can also help them to have a good reputation as well. Or if they like world travelers, foreign travel, a lot of travels, they can also have certain reputation for that. And 10th house is also our leaders and authority figures. So when such people, Venus and Jupiter conjunction people in the 10th house, when they are leaders, they can be a benevolent and charitable leaders. Now 11th house. So 11th house is our gains, long-term goals, dreams, and hopes, network, friends, circles, and fans. So Jupiter and Venus gives good results in those things. So such people can gain from doing 11th house matters, like 11th houses jobs, like working for a large group of people, or working for large organizations, or doing research, or internet, social media, and or something to do with fan clubs or networking. Or they can become event planners for organizing large events. And 11th house is associated with Aquarius, so like programming, computer specialists, computer science, or astrology. And they can understand like complicated information and systems. And such people can, because the 11th house also rules friends, so such people can also benefit from friends circles. And Venus is our passion in life. So such people, when you have this conjunction in the 11th house, you have passion for bringing changes and breakthroughs to the society or to the large organizations. And you can also benefit from connecting different friends circles or acquaintances. Like you create a sustained, long-lasting network for people to, they can always use, and yeah, stuff like that. And Jupiter and Venus conjunction in the 11th house makes you well liked by your friends, your fans, your followers. And you may have a lot of friends. And Venus rules women. So you may have more female friends than all your male friends, they are more feminine. And 11th house is our long term goals, dreams, and hopes. When you have Jupiter and Venus conjunction in the 11th house, it gives you the power to manifest your dreams and goals easily. And someday you can also become someone who inspire others to manifest their dreams and goals. You can become a public speaker to inspire others to manifest their dreams. And if you're a social influencer, like a YouTuber, and Jupiter gives you a big fan base and also a lot of followers. So, and for the influence, the qualities of Venus that gives you in this conjunction, you can do something. Let's say if you're a YouTuber, you can do something related to beauty, fashion, luxury, or jewelry, music, or makeup. Like you can demonstrate how to put on makeup, how to put on jewelries, accessories together, things like that, like a Venusian stuff. And Venus rules woman, so you can, your target audience should be women, and it will help you to have a lot of gains. Or if you're not a social influencer, you can also gain from being a fashion show organizer, because fashion show usually it's like a large event, so you can do something like that. And Jupiter, if Jupiter is in higher dignity, and Jupiter gives you more wisdom in the Venusian things. So if you're working under uh, any kinds of systems or organizations, you can have a lot of brilliant futuristic ideas to improve the existing organization or the structure. And you can even bring um, like changes to the society or humanity. And if you are passionate for religious group or religion, you can also bring some changes to religious groups. And if Jupiter is holding, sorry, if Venus is holding a higher dignity, the key word for this conjunction becomes want more. And 11th house is so much to do with gains and material achievements. So be careful that such people might desire for more gains, more friends, more followers, more of everything. So lots of desires needs to be fulfilled. And when we are consumed by our desires, even though when you have everything in the world, you're still not happy. Then the 12th house. So 12th house is creativity, imagination, dreams, our dream world, land across the ocean, overseas countries, prison, hospital, secluded places, losses, big expenditure, spirituality, and subconscious mind. So when you have Venus and Jupiter in the 12th house, and you have the talent in creating art, painting, photos, images, and illustration, you can demonstrate those things and also bring those things from your imagination or from your dream world to life. Like music, as if you can listen to the melody and the tune and you put them on the paper and create the music. Or like film, maybe you can see the fantasy world in your imagination and bring them to life. So 12th house is also creativity, but it's more like abstract, intangible creativity. And you have the talents to bring those things to life. And 12th house also rules spirituality. And it's not religious spirituality, it's boundless and it has expansiveness to it. It's non-duality. So ninth house is also spirituality, but ninth house has the connotation of rules and religious rules. But when it comes to the 12th house, there's no such a rules. The idea is unlimited. and it's more accepting, allowing, and surrendering. I think 12th house has so much to do with surrendering to the divine, and you can't even use the language to pinpoint down what it is, the spirituality, because that's the ultimate truth, the supreme consciousness. And Venus is exalted in Pisces, and Jupiter rules Pisces. And Pisces has the connotation of 12th house. And Venus rules our desires, and desires are unlimited. So even though Venus gives really good results in certain houses, but there's always a sense of lack. And when Venus travels through from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, all the way to the last zodiac sign, 12th house, Pisces, Venus finally finds its ultimate happiness and contentment in the 12th house, which is spirituality. And Jupiter rules Pisces. And for Jupiter, Sagittarius is the beginning of spiritual quest, searching for meaning of life, studying sutras, scriptures, traveling around the world, experiencing different cultures, just trying to get to know what it is. And finally, when Jupiter reaches at Pisces, the 12th house, Pisces is the end, the result of spirituality. So Jupiter finally merges in himself into the supreme consciousness and becoming one. So both Venus and Jupiter conjuncting in the 12th house, people can be interested in spirituality. And they can also have success through spirituality or working in a hospital, charity institutions, or secluded places, secluded resorts, or sanctuary retreats on an island, because the island is also a secluded place. Or even they can also work in a prison, and they have the ability to see meanings in losses, in the negative situations. And through those experiences, they are able to develop and understand the universal law, universal love and compassion. If Venus is holding a higher dignity, such people will need a lot of time to be alone, because Venus is to do with artwork. So they need a lot of alone time to create their art, produce music. Or such people can also discover their creative talents when they are in a hospital or in a prison. And yeah. And or when they are isolated on an island. Yeah. So, and 12th house is also working behind the scene. So when Venus is holding a higher dignity, such people they are suitable for working behind the scene. They can do like stage setting, or they can become a makeup artist for celebrities. And if Jupiter is holding a higher dignity, such people have great inspirations in delivering messages through their creations, whatever, whether it's art, painting, music, films, photos, images, and they bring hopes, messages, and positivities to people who are suffering or to the society. And for such people, Venus and Jupiter conjunction in the 12th house, instead of looking for answers from the outside, they need to learn to look within, to connect with the inner knowing and inner wisdom. And they can also learn to analyze, decipher their dreams and symbols in their dreams, or also ancient symbols, in order to connect to the ancient wisdom. Or like meditation, vipassana. Vipassana is like silent retreats. You stay there for 10 days, no talking, those kind of things. And also prayers are suitable for
they'll probably enjoy and love doing those things. I mean, people that I have more Saturn influence to my 12th house, and I don't enjoy any of those things. But people like that can just feel so much joy in meditation and quietness, retreat.
Yeah. Every soul's choice is different on this in this incarnation, but Jupiter is overdoing something, so such people need to pay attention to spend too much time connecting to the another realm, another dimension, because when you connect to the state of bliss, it actually gives you this like expansiveness, oneness. So when you want to connect to the dimension too much, maybe sometimes you use substance, alcohol, or plant medicines to reach that bliss, the state of bliss. So that is something for such people to pay attention to, not to overindulge, to connect to the state.
My daughter, she's 3. She has Jupiter there, because what the whole thing that you're doing, it works only for Jupiter, only for Venus as well, because you break it down really nice. And many times she just would zone out in her own world and speak with someone.
Fairies.
She doesn't need, she can zone out in front of the TV, but she gets out into her own zone and her own world and her own, and she can, sometimes I hear her for 2 hours in bed. She talks to herself, and she's like, she's somewhere else. So yeah, definitely zone connects there.
Connected with the oneness.
I wonder what she connects with. Sometimes she growls and she does the sign a lot.
Uh-oh.
So, I don't know. We'll find out later what she connects to.
Right. Yes, I'll be curious. And apart from connect to the higher realm, like the another dimension too much, such people, they also tend to spend big expenditure on spirituality, because Jupiter rules the faith, so they might overly trust that the universe will take care of their finances. So they're like, let me just go to India for 1 year and try to find myself, or let me just go to Peru to learn from shamans. And they spend everything, they put everything on the credit cards, and then they end up being in debt. And because they have so much faith and trust the universe that will work to have their back. Yes, usually universe will have our back, but we're still in this physical body and in this material reality. So there's also duties and realistic sides that we need to consider. So in Buddhist teaching, Buddha said the middle way. So how do we follow our hearts and inspirations without ignoring we are still living on this planet Earth? I think that would be the lesson and also the wisdom that for such people to learn. And that would be my sharing for today.
Oh, wow. You made a whole lecture on Jupiter Venus through houses. It's like it could have been a webinar. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. It was so in depth. I'm very impressed by your knowledge. Amazing. Thank you, Karine. And if anyone would like a reading with Karine, she's offering a promotion for the next couple of weeks on 2 of her readings. Welcome to the team. I'm so impressed. I think you should do each conjunction planet, but not through houses, just as an explanation, because you explain it so wonderfully. Maybe your own series on aspects or something like that between planets. But I'm looking forward to see what videos you come up with, what astrology, because you have so much to share. It's incredible. You're an encyclopedia of astrology. So maybe you can do your own series of astrology videos. Just tell me if you're interested, and I think a lot of our audience would like to hear a lot more of your perspective, because you mix so beautifully as a representative of Asian culture. You mix so beautifully the Western knowledge and the Asian knowledge, and that's what we need now, to combine East and West, and to get the best of both worlds.
Definitely. And thank you so much for your time, for sitting here with me.
Oh, thank you for your time. I was just sitting. You're doing the hard work.
No, listening is also very exhausting. So thank you so much.
Oh, I should remember that for my classes when I'm exhausting you. 5 hours. Thank you. No, it was fascinating. I learned a lot as well. And can't wait to introduce you to our audience, to have people have readings with you. Did you also do tarot, or is it in
Yes,
reading?
I do. Yeah, I do tarot reading as well.
Okay, but you're an exceptional astrologer. We're very impressed with your reading because, again, blind, we'll give blindly everyone that we tested 2 horoscopes, and Karine really impressed us both. So, as you can see from her knowledge, welcome her to the AstroLada team. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And also special thanks to Victor because he taught me well.
Absolutely, he's the man. Karine,
Yes.